Hello.
Robert Curry,
Indeed.
we are live on YouTube right now, but we're not live on the air yet, on
Okay,
radio.
thanks.
It's a bit wonky, but I'm excited to speak to you. So my YouTube audience can hear us, and radio will go live in about a minute and a half, and you'll hear some music, and then we'll be live on the air.
Okay, thanks for the coaching.
This is a really interesting subject that you've delved into with this book, frankly.
I think it's the most important subject that nobody's talking about.
Yeah, I that it does seem like very few people are talking about it.
The I think are we sort of starting now?
No, I'll start after the
Okay,
music.
there'll be music. Yeah,
Yeah, but we
I think
can
it's the most
chat. I
important.
mean,
I
we
mean,
don't have to be quiet.
yeah, no problem. I like talking with you. Yeah, I think it's the most important thing. I mean, people aren't talking about it, but it's the most important undiscussable. It's the undiscussed and undiscussables that really run the world sometimes.
There you
It's
go.
the stuff that isn't talked about and noticed, and the forgetting of common sense is it explains so much of what's going on and that looks so crazy in our public life.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm about to start and then I'll bring you on, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, and welcome to the Sam Sorbo Show, live on Mojo Radio, mojo50.com. Also, podcasting at Mike Gallagher's website, mikeonline.com. Thank you, Mike, for taking my show and sort of disseminating it that way in the podcast. And we're also live on YouTube, so you can go to my YouTube channel, Sam Sorbo on YouTube, and watch the show there. My first guest is joining me, and he won't be live on air. He'll be live on radio, but not in video because we couldn't get that set up in time. I do have a second guest who will be joining us live on video. I'm excited about that. One of the things I want to talk about today is forgiveness, and I have an amazing audio clip about that. There's also a personal story that I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to steer clear a little bit of all the politics that we typically cover. And so to that end, we're going to start with my guest, who is an author, Robert Curry. He's the author of this book, Common Sense Nation, Unlocking the Forgotten Power of the American Idea. He also serves on the board of directors of the Claremont Institute, and his articles and reviews have appeared in American Greatness, American Thinker, the Claremont Review of Books, The Federalist, and the Journal of Aesthetics and Art Criticism as well. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So this thing that we're talking about, your book is pretty. It touches on some I would say very sensitive topics, wouldn't you?
We're talking about Common Sense Nation, right?
Yes.
Well, Common Sense Nation is the most important topic for Americans. It's all about understanding the American founding as the American founders understood it themselves. It's really an amazing thing, but
That's
I
good because for a moment I thought the title might have referred to Common Sense, which was a Jonathan Swift essay, right? Am I getting that
yeah.
wrong?
Well, yeah, I've written the difficult thing sometimes in these interviews is that I've written two books with common sense in the title. One book's called Common Sense Nation,
Okay.
and the other one's called Reclaiming Common Sense.
Right,
And
right.
they're a pair. They go together.
Yes.
They're two books in a project. So
Okay.
but I think all of these things can be sensitive in this special sense that there's a huge movement now in America away from the founders' ideas, away from our self-government, And so if you talk about the founders' ideas, that can be upsetting to the enemies of the founders. And if you talk about common sense, that can be upsetting to the people who are loud and proud that we live in a post-truth era.
So let's talk about that, post-truth. What is your... Why don't you defend this idea that we are living in a post-truth era? I tend to agree with you, but let's lay out what the terms are here. What do you mean by post-truth?
Yeah, well, in 2016, the Oxford dictionaries proclaimed that post-truth was the word of the year. It's kind of announcing that this is official. It's been coming for a long time, but now we live in an era in which truth is considered to be obsolete and outmoded. It's an idea that hasn't survived. It's a discarded idea. Now, this may sound crazy to your audience, but this is what people have been being taught in the university in America for a long time, at least since the 60s. If you go to the university in America, they're going to teach you that there is no such thing as truth. There's only narrative, and that's how come these people can say that, it's by common sense, we know the truth that human beings come in two types, a male and female, but it's by political correctness and political indoctrination that we can think that a boy in a tutu and a tiara who claims to be a girl is a girl. That common sense says still a boy. Political correctness and post-truth modernism says, no, if he says he's a girl, he's a girl.
And so, and that also brings us to this idea that you have your truth and I have my truth, and truth is this sort of malleable, well, it depends on how you look at it. Truth has actually become synonymous with perspective, right?
Yeah, with personal. Yeah, it's a beautiful. You're making my point beautifully. Yeah, and it says if I feel I'm a woman, then you have to accept that I am a woman. If I want to be a woman, then you have to accept that I am a woman. But
not only accept it, right?
Pardon?
Not just accept it, but embrace it, and laud it, and right. Further it.
Right. Praise your bravery for stepping out. Yes, and also backed up by legal penalties in New York City. If you don't use there's 31 legally protected genders, gender bender and gender blender and many others. If you don't conform to that person's claim about their gender, then you can be sued by that person and fined in New York for $250,000 for every instance of failing to get with the program.
Even if you're that individual's parent, I think.
I think that's right. Yeah. I think there's no exception. I believe that's right. So really the important thing about it is to see that it isn't just, if a boy comes up in a tutu and a tiara and says he's a girl, well, it's America, okay, fine. But what makes it a problem is when the government uses governmental power to force us to act on and accept that. Make us say, well, okay, then he gets to use the girl shower room at the school. That it's the governmental power behind the rejection of common sense truth that's creating the problem. You and I could live with a guy who likes to wear tutus, couldn't we? But when we put ourselves at legal risk and we have to subject the young girls in our community to these guys being in our dressing room in the rooms and facilities reserved for girls, well, then that becomes a problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a story out today that in the United Kingdom they have rugby referees who are quitting because there are trans women playing on the women's teams, and they're hurting the women because they're more powerful than women, and so they're breaking women's bones, where otherwise they would be playing opposite men. And then there's the science behind it that says, and there are scientists who support this, that after, I can't remember, but after a certain amount of time, that all of the, and the argument is, well, accepting of their